Hello, this is Frida Liu, and you're watching The Shift. Now, the events industry came to an almost standstill during the pandemic. Of course, in-person events have returned with a bang, and the growth of the events industry has come at a cost, with concerns arising about sustainability management, resource sharing, waste management, and overexploitation. Many materials used for events, including exhibition structures, booths, and packaging materials, are left behind as trash. Transportation to and from events account for a significant portion of carbon emissions too. Some are taking steps towards decreasing waste and increasing efficiency, such as reducing food and energy waste, partnering with greener venues and energy service providers, using eco-friendly products, and adopting greener technologies. I'm here with Richard Su, CEO of Meeting and Exhibition Planners, or MEP, to find out more about what they're doing around the events industry. So, and I guess maybe we'll start off with what initially motivated MEP to prioritize sustainability, especially considering the challenges faced by the events management industry.
Well, we're already 30 years as of next month, and throughout the years, we've always worked with our clients, trying to satisfy or meet with their SDG requirements. And in the process, we've learned that we can contribute a lot more to the event industry and to the community at large if we were to play a more active role.
Right.
And I think we see that connection, that whatever we do, we can reduce that impact. At this point in time, the event industry, the global event industry, is targeted to grow to 2.1 trillion in 2032. And if we do not mitigate the environmental impact that we put out, it's only going to get worse. And I think we have the role and responsibility to play to make sure that this doesn't happen.
And I guess, like, when you talk to your clients, is it a case of the clients coming to you, or sometimes you have to tell, hey, we're going to be a little bit more sustainable? What are you hearing at the moment?
In the past, it has always been them telling us we need to meet all these guidelines. And these are things that's required as a policy. Moving forward, what MEP wants to do is to be very proactive.
Right.
And what we want to do is to make sure that on our own, we are already looking out for our clients in all aspects that is possible, not just on their areas of focus. So in that sense, we are taking the initiative ahead of them, so that when they come to us, we can assure them it's already done.
Okay. And then do you find that you're also getting them to be a little bit more hybrid, as opposed to everybody being in person? Is that the kind of conversations they're also having?
It really depends on the type of audience that they have and whether there is that need for them to have a hybrid event. Because when we talk about hybrid and virtual, there is also carbon emission from the energy that we use.
Right.
And if it doesn't pay for them to have a virtual event, there's no necessity for it, then we will discourage it.
Right. Okay. Like, beyond resource constraints, how did you navigate the diverse client needs and expectations regarding sustainable practices?
I think there's one thing that we start off with is we try to take small steps. We can't be perfect in the very beginning, especially when we have to take into consideration what our clients' budgets are, needs are, objectives for the events as compared to the sustainability goals. So what we do is we talk to them, we have very open discussions, we sit them down and we tell them, okay, you want to do this, you want to achieve this, but it comes at this cost. These are areas that we can do to cut down on the sustainability impact.
Right.
Are you for it?
Right.
So there is that mutual agreement and understanding that if you want to take the extra step, we will do it for you. But in the meantime, we'll do whatever we can from our back end to make sure that the environment is taken care of.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more on some of the steps and best practices that have been implemented to reduce waste and promote sustainability?
I think one of the key things that we do is we select venues that are already certified green.
Okay.
I think once you do that, half the battle is won.
True.
Because then, they're going to take care of non-single-use plastics, energy efficiency is taken care of, that sort of thing. All of that is already done. Secondly is we will recommend venues that are very accessible.
Okay.
So they are very central to the audience coming in, reduce the carbon.
They can come in public transportation, like a train and stuff like that.
So there are certain locations that comes to mind when we talk about that. And we usually push for these venues because then it helps with the people coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes sense as well. If transportation is easy for more people to actually turn up too, right?
Yes, correct. And also in terms of structural production, we will encourage them not to build so many because it's all single use and it always ends up as trash afterwards. And if they have to do structural buildups, we will recommend using materials that are not like styrofoam, they're not biodegradable. We use more sustainable items, like for example, tarpaulin. There is now a new tarpaulin that is actually biodegradable compared to the ones that we normally use, which is bad for the environment. So, so those are things that there are options out there. It's just whether we want to take that extra step to do what's necessary.
You can recommend this to the clients as well to let them know the options. And you're also partnering with NGOs.
Correct.
Right? And so they can also help not only with your efforts, but also client efforts, right? What some key insights and benefits you've gained from collaborating with NGOs, and in what way?
I think the biggest advantage of working with NGOs is let the experts do what they do best. And you do what is necessary to do the connection and make sure that everybody enjoys the benefits from it. And we work with them because they have the network, they have the outreach, and they already have processes in place, which would cost us lots of time and money just to reinvent the wheel. So what we do is we work with all these NGOs to make sure that, after the event, they are the ones who takes care of the food, surplus food. They have people who come in to take care of the structure so that it can be recycled, repurposed, that sort of thing. So so we don't have to go out and say, oh, I have to find storage for the surplus items, I have to pack food for the people, and it may not be fit for consumption later. So at least then we know all of this is already taken care of, and we don't have to burden our own staff.
Right. It's also, I mean, it's efficient, and at the same time it's doing its part.
Correct.
After the fact, right? And how do you leverage these partnerships to ensure the sustainability practices and implemented are scalable and replicatable for other SMEs?
As I've said, we start small and we learn as we move along. And I think especially sustainability in the event industry is still very much in its infancy here. So what we do is we work with partners, and it's sort of an exchange of information and learnings. They tell us what are the difficulties, and we learn from it, and we try to adjust our work processes according to it so that they can do their best as well. And I think for small organizations, that works out very well, because when you start working with the others, you learn the processes of what is necessary to be done. And then you internalize that into your own team, and they learn about it as well. And once it becomes a part of your life, it will flow into your business operations as well. And I think that's when it becomes scalable, and everything you do, that would be your first consideration.
I think one of the things that I always attend a lot of events, the first thing we should be able to get rid of is plastic bottles and water. That's the first thing. And I'm hoping that this year I don't see any more of this, right? I mean, it's the simple step that every organization can do, right? And some examples of how your sustainable initiatives have contributed to the broader ESG goals of the corporate clients you work with.
I think not so much initiatives, but more from the knowledge and understanding of how things work. So when we, for example, work with a drink packaging company, and they wanted to do a road show to educate people about their sustainability efforts, we actually, from our understanding of what the whole entire sustainability efforts that they are going through, we came up with activities that will educate consumers, that actually connects them with the consumers and let them understand how supporting this particular company is going to help with the environment. We also used a lot of AV production to communicate information rather than having things printed out and given out as brochures. That's one thing. And we built all the event structures from materials that came from the recycling of their product, of their packaging. So in a way, it's really showcasing what they set out to do, but at the same time also taking care of the environment.
And using resources wisely. What are the biggest misconceptions about incorporating sustainability into event management?
Something that I suffered from the very beginning as well, and that is that it is expensive, it's additional cost. But if you think about it, if you help to save energy, it is also saving costs. So if I rent a generator and I don't measure the amount of energy that I use properly and I over order. Normally people over order, right? They get a bigger generator, it burns more fuel. It means you pay more for the fuel, you pay more for the generator, you pay more for the transportation. But if you do the measurement properly, you save money.
Okay.
So it's just an extra effort for a bigger savings.
Right.
And that money can actually go into your profit margin, or it can also go into other parts of the event, right? The other misconception is that people do not like events with SDG focus. It's boring, and everything. But the point is, when you engage with audiences and you tell them that they have a role to play in helping with the environment for the future, I think there is no reason why people do not appreciate that.
Right.
We did one event for a beverage company, about 80,000 people, consumers coming for the event. And we actually came up with an activity that taught children how to sort out their trash.
Okay.
And they were having lots of fun. And there's no reason why we have to say, that they will never enjoy an activity like that. It's just how you use creativity and innovate so that you actually educate people as well.
And then your earlier point as well, I think it's just a case of changing SOPs, right? Understanding that, okay, we used to do things this way, but actually if you do things this way, it actually can be, a cost saving, can actually be more efficient.
Correct.
But we're sometimes just stuck in a certain way of doing things.
Yeah, I think people just don't want to change.
Right.
It's difficult.
Okay, and can you share your thoughts on the evolving landscape of sustainable event management in Southeast Asia?
I think in the past 10 years, it has always been something in the background, but sustainability in events is now coming to the forefront.
Right.
It is the first thing that is mentioned in any brief that our sustainability goals in this company is ABCD, and you need to make sure. So that is a trend that's coming forward, and it's no longer a question of whether it's expensive or whether people want to do it. It's a necessity because it's something that we need to do.
Right. Okay. So interesting. I guess watch this space. The events management have a huge responsibility. I think working with the right partners. And it's a case of not just the clients taking the initiative, but also the events management company educating the clients as well. Right. Thanks for being with us. I've been speaking to Richard Su from MEP, and you've been watching The Shift Asia.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.